Hey, how you doing, folks? Welcome to PM Dinner Jazz. This is where I play a little bit of jazz for you, and you can ask any question about project management. You can let me know how your week went. I'm always curious to know how your week went. Sorry I started a little bit behind schedule. I was having a few microphone issues. I'm curious to know how my microphone sounds. Can you actually hear what I'm saying? If you can you just chat in and say, yeah, we can hear you. No complaints. I guess you can hear me. I'm going to go ahead and start with a track that I call PM Funk. Hey, thank you, Chris. How you doing? How's your studying coming along? Good. On that PMP diet, you got to put in that PMP time and stay on a strict PMBOK diet. All right, this is a track I call PM Funk. right, that's a track I call PM Funk. The world of PM is getting funky with agile. Funky in a good way, good funky. Not bad funky, right? Good funky. So in agile, I don't know how many of you guys have actually opened up this practice guide. This practice guide is quite an interesting guide in that it helps you understand what agile is, and it also helps you to get a good grip on iterative, agile, incremental, and predictive life cycles. PMI shows a continuum of sorts going from predictive to iterative to incremental and to agile. So I would highly advise that. So PM Funk, that track is really just a potpourri of different things, a bit of jazz fusion, you know, a little bit of electric piano and a bit of traditional piano for those of you who are used to the instruments. So I'm curious to know, how are you doing in your prep? Have you guys resigned to studying this bad boy here? Or are you still trudging along? Or are you powering along with the 5th edition? Victor, good to hear from you. Achintia, good to hear from you. Mr. Kumar, how you doing? Good to hear from you. And Mr. Rodriguez, just passed the PMP. Woo! Congratulations. Awesome job. Victor, send us an email to info@praizion.com and just say, I'm that student that Phil gave a shout out to, because we have something very important for you, for your life after the PMP exam. So shoot us that email, and we will be sending you something that you will find quite useful. So I would like, Victor, if you can, Chris is asking, have you got any tips? Do you have any tips, any tricks, any suggestions for people who are getting ready for the exam? Can you share your 2 cents? I mean, what was the big win for you in all of your prep? I know you did a lot of prep, but what was the real big win that sealed the deal for you? Was it your countless hours of studying, or did you study smart? And if so, can you share with us how you did that? Kind of curious to know. I'll play a little bit of jazz while I wait for Victor to share a few lessons. How did he pass on the project management plan? Can you explain, Victor? Did you say that the 48th process, did you make a 48th process for yourself? Victor, if you could do it all over again, what wouldn't you do? Oh, you had a schedule? You stuck to the schedule? Good. I'm glad to know you found my videos helpful. Thank you, Diego. Anything you wouldn't do again, Victor? Come on, Victor, give us some information, man. Help us out. Help a brother and a sister out, Victor. What would you do differently? I'm curious to know. I mean, like me, when I came out of the exam, I tell you, I had my lessons learned and what I would have done differently. You know? So I'm just curious to know, what would you have done differently, and any other profound tips that you can give us to help those of us who are still trying to cross. We're trying to cross the bridge here, so help us out. I wouldn't try to read the PMBOK all the way through without knowing what you're getting into. Good point. How is the PMI Agile different from Scrum Alliance Agile? Good question. So Scrum Alliance is predominantly Scrum, even though Agile, of course, is very well represented. The world of the PMI focuses on a very broad array of Agile concepts. You know, in the Agile Practice Guide, rather than the focus being on just Scrum, you have everything from extreme programming to test-driven development, you know, to Scrum itself and many of the other flavors. But the PMI try not to get bogged down into one particular area. You know, they talk about lean, Kanban a little bit. There's actually a page here on page 100. So let me show you that. Page 100, you can see how they've broken out all the different Agile flavors. And they pretty much cover it on a very broad base. I would say this guide is less of a standard and more of a practice guide, you know, because PMI, they're very quick to tell you it's not a standard. So this is for how you can practice Agile. It gives you a very good base to understand where they're coming from as far as what Agile does. Talks about the benefits of Agile. Also talks about how to implement Agile. A lot of people are at a loss for if their organizations would fit the Agile mold or not, if they could use Agile or not. I believe every organization to some degree can use some Agile, maybe not in major projects, but somewhere else in the firm, or maybe in some different chunks of the project. So they've got a really good breakdown of whether Agile may fit you or not. They call this a suitability filter questions on page 129. Take a look at that. So they've got a lot of suitability questions for you to ask people in your firm, or for you to ask yourself, you know, is this a good fit or not? They also have a suitability assessment chart, these charts, you know. So I think they've done quite a good job in staying away from getting too deep into the world of any of the Agile flavors, because Agile is Agile. You know, you got to use Agile in an Agile fashion. Don't just get sucked up into Scrum, because Scrum Band might actually be what you need, you know, or maybe you need a hybrid of all sorts. So thank you, Victor, for dropping some gold. Victor's been dropping some gold. Victor, make sure you send that email. Victor says, I wouldn't try to read the PMBOK guide all the way without knowing what I'm getting into. I appreciated it more as my knowledge base increased. Good. So you're absolutely correct, Victor. As your knowledge increases, the PMBOK guide becomes more, common sense. And you said lots of good stuff in PMI's Code of Ethics. It helped fill in gaps in scenario-based questions. Very good point, Victor. A lot of people, they forget that the code of ethics is very important to answer questions. Some of the answers are going to just be so obvious to you if you know the code of ethics. They now put the code of ethics in this, or mention of the code of ethics in this, very early in chapter 1. So PMI is definitely looking at the code of ethics. In fact, I don't know how many of you guys have downloaded the PMP exam content outline, because if you haven't downloaded the content outline and you haven't read it, you might be missing out on a few things that the exam could cover. So I would highly recommend you download that thing and read it. What else? So the code of ethics help fill in the gaps. Oh yeah, when to escalate and when not to. Very, very good. So you didn't read the PMP all the way through. You didn't read the PMBOK guide all the way through, says Tippy Toes. Tippy Toes, I've seen you online a few times, so it's good to see you live. So you didn't read the PMP all the way through, or you read it along with studying other things. So Victor, did you study other things, or was it pretty much just the PMBOK guide? What else did you read? How would you study page 61? Left to right, or down a column and up the next one? Over to you, Victor. So Victor, while you chat this in, I'm going to play you one more track for the night. And if we have any other discussions, I'll just play as we go along. All right. So let me play one more track for you. This track, I'd like to dedicate this track tonight to someone who fits the name. The title of this track is very much in line with what just transpired today. As we learned from Victor, the title of the track is PM Dawn. Actually, it's PMP Dawn. The dawn of the PMP. So that's your title, Victor. You're the PMP Dawn, man. You killed that bad exam. You killed it. You showed Pimpy. This is Pimpy, by the way. This is my PMP exam in the flesh type of creature. He's a reminder of what the exam could do if you don't do your due diligence. I call him Pimpy. You get it? PMP, Pimpy. Okay, Victor's going to be dropping some gold while I play you this next track. Sorry about that. I call that the PMP Dawn. Moving smooth, teaching the PMP exam. What it's all about. So well done, Victor. Doff my hat to you. Do you have any questions, folks? Oh, I saw two chipmunks quietly having coffee, reading poetry stories. That was actually from a different source. The one my daughter made up was the process groups. That was, I prefer eating mangoes chilled. So there's a whole video on the mnemonics that Victor is referring to. If you go to Google and you type in PMP or PMBOK mnemonics and Praizion, you should come across it. All right. Do you guys have any questions? Because that's pretty much our show for tonight. If you have any questions or anything you would like me to discuss further, I will be extremely delighted to do that. Anything you would like me to talk about? Hey, you're welcome, Victor. Congrats. Enjoy your weekend. You've really earned it. You've earned some peace and quiet. Hey, Carburetor, how you doing? Thank you, Chris. So don't freak out. Don't freak out anymore. You had 10 days to freak out. So now is the cool down time. You got to be in power mode. You got to show the exam, you know, what you're made of. You got to bring your A game. You know, you got to show this creature right here that you don't intimidate me. All right? You got to use everything you've got against him. Use your positive mental attitude. Use what you studied. Use the whole 9 yards and, you know, teach PMP a lesson, you know. One of the ways I get around nervousness, I ask myself, what's the worst thing that I could see on the exam? So as I'm reading the PMBOK guide, I'm asking myself, what's the worst thing I could see? So just continue asking yourself, what could they possibly throw at me? What could they possibly throw at me that will make me, you know, run back in fear? Nothing, you know, you got to tell yourself nothing, you know. Wow. Mr. Kumar. So, yes, we're actually having the discussion. It's probably going to be in the next, look at my local time, probably in the next 6 hours. So in the next 6 hours, we're going to be having a session. No pain, no gain. That's my mantra. You got to bring your A game. You got to bring it. It would have been easy to say, no, I'm actually on borrowed time sleep-wise because I owe sleep big time. As far as, you know, there was some engagements I had impromptu for a particular organization, and that meant burning the midnight oil. But it's all good. It's all good. I paid a little bit of my dues earlier on, so I'll be good to go in the next 6 hours. Oh dear. Hey, thank you, Chris. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate you guys. I'm happy that you're engaged and you're finding value from these things. Those of you that have not taken my 20-question free exam that's out there, if you go to Google and type in Praizion 20-question mock exam, should probably come out. The questions you get in that 20-question test are a pointer to what you could get on the actual exam. Okay, so I would advise that you take those. I would also advise that you take the Earned Value Management Apocalypse quiz. Now on the exam, I don't think they're going to be that bad, but ultimately, you know, you want to be ready for the worst. And my mock exams, they prepare you for the worst. I don't know if you guys have actually checked out the link I've got. I know for some people, they may not be able to get that for $49.99. you know, but I would say if you can, it is probably a good thing for you, because you don't want to get into the exam and be so shocked out of your wits. You know, you want to probably see a crazy mock exam like the one I'm about to shoot you here. If you check out that mock exam, I think that will give you a good idea of what to expect on the actual test. So I just shot that to you. Check those out, okay? All right, any questions about the exam or anything that I can help you out with? So Cabareta, I'm telling you, don't panic. You gotta be cool. You gotta be able to look the exam from afar in the eye and say, I ain't scared of you. Yeah, who are you? I'm not scared of you. I'll take you down. I'll show you what I'm made of. You know, I was watching a clip of the Incredible Hulk, and he was fighting just a mere mortal who had some guns and some ammo, and this guy wasn't scared of the Hulk. You know, that's how you got to look the exam in the face and say, I'm not scared of you. I'm going to teach you a lesson. I'm going to knock you out. Okay? All right. Yep. Yep. Keep the content in front of your face. You know, leading up to the exam, 8 days to the exam, I would be taking mock exams that will kick me out of my seat. That's what I would advise. So the most ferocious mock exams, you want to do them. You want to make sure that you are armed to the teeth and you're ready. And the good thing, I've heard from a lot of my students after the exam, they say, Phil, I think I overdid it. I totally slayed it. That's what I want. I want you to over-prepare so that when you see the exam, you'll know what to do. Have you guys downloaded the PMP exam content outline? You need to do that. I'm going to search for the link here because I know some folks may not be able to find it. Here we go. And this is from the PMI. Please download it. Please read it. You know, close all those gaps. Honestly, I often joke with my students. I say, don't tell the PMI I'm sending you this, because it is such a best kept secret. You know, it's one of the best kept secrets of the PMI. A lot of people don't download it. Absolutely download that thing. Go through all the tasks. Read it. Know exactly what they're talking about. And you'll be much better, you know, for it when you finally take the exam. All right? Good. All right, I will play you one more song, and I'm going to title this. This is kind of going to be impromptu. I do a lot of improv. This is going to be an improvised song, and it's for all of you guys, and I'm going to title this the Good Night Song. All right, so I'll say good night or good morning wherever you are in the world, and I'll speak to you guys probably later on. Have a lovely night. Good night, folks. Have a lovely one and speak to you soon.